Hey there, entrepreneurs. My name is Sushant, and welcome to Trep Talks. This is the show where I interview successful e-commerce entrepreneurs, business executives, and thought leaders, and ask them questions about their business story, and also dive deep into some of the strategies and tactics that they have used to start and grow their businesses. And today, I'm really excited to welcome Amy McKenzie and Kirsten Dodds to the show. Amy and Kristen are the co-founders of House of Kook. Their mission is to create spaces and furniture that are unique and interesting, staying true to the core values of honest design and authentic materials. And today I'm going to ask Amy and Kristen a few questions about their entrepreneurial journey and some of the strategies and tactics that they have used to start and grow their businesses. So thank you so much for joining me today at Trip Talks. Really appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you for having us.
So very interesting business, House of Kook. Can you share a little bit about what are the products and services you're bringing to the market?
Well, I think you touched briefly on it in our intro, but we are an interior design studio, and we also have our own furniture range, which we launched at the end of last year.
So your furniture range, that's the e-commerce. Is that primarily e-commerce, or is that you have a storefront also?
No, that's right. So we launched e-commerce only, and that's as it is now. We would love to have our product showcased in a physical store, but it's rather prohibitive for us at this stage in our business to invest in a store and the rent and the overheads that come with that. We are lucky that in our country there are a number of other retailers who work on like a consignment basis. So we are in chats with a number of them, and hopefully in the near future you'll be able to see our furniture in some stores as well.
Awesome. I should have started by asking, your two co-founders, what are your roles in the company? What do you manage, the different areas of the company or the business that you manage together?
Well, we're both a jack of all trades. So just a little bit of background about Amy and myself. We, between the two of us, have over 20 years of experience in the industry. And we actually worked in corporate design and build for these years. So we kind of just reached, I think Amy a little bit before me. She left the industry about 2 years before I did. We both were just at a point where we were so burnt out. We felt like we had completely lost our creativity. We didn't enjoy it anymore, and we just needed to take a step back. And Amy and I had studied together, we had worked together, and we always knew that we wanted to start a business together. And it was just the right timing. And we wanted to sort of change the narrative, what it is that we wanted to do. And then, the opportunity presented itself. And then we put our heads together and we were like, what is it that we actually want out of this business partnership? What elements of interior design make us happy, and what didn't make us happy? And how can we morph it into something that works for both of us?
And to answer your question, just to circle back to it, Kirst, you hit it spot on. We are a jack of all trades, both of us. We kind of on a daily basis, manage a multitude of things, whether it's interiors or marketing or finance or sorting out a problem or putting out a fire, or and we constantly bounce off each other. And I think because we know each other so well and we've known each other for so long, that's just a very fluid and easy dynamic and relationship that we have.
Yeah, I think that's definitely very, useful in a co-founder relationship. If you know the person, I think that definitely makes things a lot easier. So to me, it seems like both of your careers was more focused on interior designing. And how is that different than actually creating the furniture? So is it that you are bringing more of the design element of the furniture, and then you're partnering with someone who actually builds the furniture? Can you share a little bit more about transitioning from being just interior designer to starting to create these products?
Yeah. So as part of the design process, and luckily Amy and I have been able to be part of projects where we do a lot of bespoke design. So from joinery and shop fitting, which I believe in the States they call it millwork, so anything that's built into the building, as well as loose furniture items, we come up with a design and we get a local manufacturer to make it, or we import it, or we find a local supplier that supplies it. And that experience that both of us gained over the years of working in corporates gives you the the know-how, really, how to take a design, manufacture it locally, and you also pick up what the market is lacking. So being down in South Africa, we do have a limited market. So a lot of the stuff is imported, and through working in the industry, we saw the gap. We said, we've got the manufacturers here, they do have the skill, they just need somebody that's got an eye for the design to translate it and to help them hone their skills to create something that can compete internationally with some of the high-end brands in terms of design. And we really felt that it's that experience in interior design that ultimately has afforded us, the experience to be able to do this.
And I think just adding to that, when Chris and I started House of Kook, we were adamant. I think we were burnt out and we needed to leave our previous roles, but we said to each other, okay, we're done. We're done with interior design. We're done with doing projects. What are we passionate about? Where do we see a gap in the market? Great. We're going to only focus on furniture design, manufacture, and selling in an e-commerce fashion. And I mean, it is a funny story because it wasn't that many months later that we got a lead for a really great interior design job. And we said to each other, okay, well, let's just give it a go. You never know. It'll be a great cash injection for us. And here we are. I don't know how many months or years down the line, how many projects under our belt. And it kind of organically morphed into us stepping very firmly back into the role of being interior designers, taking on those projects. And it's been an interesting journey because sometimes it's been difficult kind of straddling two sides of the business. The one is the interior projects and the other is the furniture, and both require a lot of time and energy. And both sides of the business we want to see grow and flourish. And it's been quite hard juggling that as well.
I want to ask a follow-up question on that, but I should make the correction. You said House of Kook, and I think in my introduction I said House of Kook. So a correction there is the correct pronunciation is House of Kook.
It happens often.
Yeah, fine. We'll get everybody on board eventually.
Yeah.
So I should ask, in terms of I think, what you're saying, juggling between being interior designers versus, creating products, I think it's kind of, as new entrepreneurs, that's probably an advantage for you, right? Because if you were just creating the products, then all you had to rely on was marketing, right? But as interior designers, I guess you already have a funnel. So you have interior design projects, and then you can also pitch your products and say, by the way, the design of the chair or the table that I'm suggesting, we have a way to create that for you custom. So do you think that's kind of how you are primarily getting your customers right now, or is your e-commerce business kind of self-sufficient? Like if you were not doing interior designing, would you still be able to get customers?
Yeah, we're definitely not at the stage yet that the e-commerce side of the business is self-sustaining. It's the interiors has been the cash injection currently, but it is slowly starting to pick up momentum. I think that the South African market is quite a tricky one because it's so small, and it's especially where we're trying to fit ourselves in, it's quite niche. So it's been taking a little bit of time just to get a bit of momentum, but a lot of those sales, just to circle back, has come from word of mouth. We've been trying to work South Africa being a small community to our advantage, because it's a small community, especially the interior design industry. Word gets around quite quickly. So it hasn't been that difficult to create buzz. It's just difficult to get the buy-in. So it's slowly starting to churn, which is so rewarding to see, I have to say.
And I think just specifically to us, our product and the price bracket that we've positioned ourselves in, it is a bit of a slow burn, comparatively to other products in the market. We aren't priced on the cheaper side. We are more premium. So it takes a long time for people to build up trust and a relationship with the brand, and then, be willing to part with their money for our product. So we found that has actually been longer than we anticipated. But with the interior projects, not only is it an opportunity for us to sell our product through the project, but also it just legitimizes the brand, and it builds more awareness and like a trust that people would have with us. So indirectly, it does help us sell. But yeah, it's been a slightly longer journey than I think Kristen and I were hoping for. But we keep forging on. We keep going. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think in every business, it's rarely the case that you launch and you have found the correct or the best product market fit. It's like you launch with something and you pivot and you change, and eventually you get to the right fit.
Yeah.
In terms of your positioning, I mean, I'm not very familiar with the South African market, but given your product is more custom, and I guess your clients who would hire an interior designer would be more of a high-end client, do you think that this would be a good long-term strategy for a furniture business, or would you rather want to be a furniture store that has unique designs, utilitarian designs that are more applicable to the general population, like more like IKEA? I don't know if you've heard of IKEA, but yeah.
So I think,
Question.
sorry,
Okay,
part of what we wanted to provide to the South African market was like items of furniture that were unique and we felt were missing in the market. So this first range of furniture, that our first collection that we launched, we had to think really long and hard about where do we want to position ourselves from the get-go, because it's very often difficult to pivot in the eyes of your following. So we didn't want to go into entry level and cost effective and be stamped with that brand from the get-go. And we thought let's make our first collection a little bit more premium. It's not crazy expensive. I would call it probably middle market, middle upper market. And then we had the idea to, over time and based on what the trends are and what we're feeling and what we're putting into our projects, we'll be releasing different collections at perhaps different tiers, a little bit of a mixed tier, and it kind of engages with different parts of the market without feeling like we started in one place and it's very difficult to get the consumer to understand why we're pivoting. So that's pretty much.
And also understanding our competitors, not only in the South African market, but a global one. There are a number of retailers here that are not quite on IKEA's level. I think it's hard to get to that level in this country, but they provide similar market at similar pricing, similar types of product at similar pricing. And it's too hard to compete, especially as a very small business in comparison, to compete with those guys. And particularly with importing from China and the likes, that's not the game that we wanted to play. That's not the market that we wanted to place ourselves in. And And as Kirst said, the end goal, not the end goal, but our future growth of our company is to not only have this range, but other collections. And as she said, maybe some of them are slightly more premium, some of them are slightly more cost effective, and you kind of you reach a wider audience in that way. But it will take us some time to get to that point.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, I did read when I was doing my research that, when you started this company, both of you were in between employments, and I think you had to make a choice between, going back to finding jobs versus, doing something else. Can you share a little bit about that part, the startup phase of this business, and what kind of investment you had to make in the business, and how did you decide that this could be a possibility for you?
Yeah, who's first, me or you?
Go for it.
So as Kirst mentioned, I had left the corporate world slightly earlier than she had. I've got 2 kids, and I was pregnant with my second, and I decided I needed a bit of a break and just to focus a bit more on my family. And Kirst followed shortly after, but there's always been a very strong desire to run my own business and do my own thing, and that burning it started young and it hasn't gone away, and in fact it just became stronger as I got older. And when I found myself not committed to a specific company and kind of having that wonderful luxury of deciding, okay, where do I go from here? Do I go back to another company? Do I start my own thing? Do I take some time off? I mean, that's not something that's afforded to most people. So it was a really great time for me to really think long and hard about what I wanted. And then, timing is everything. Kirst had then resigned, and she also found herself in a space where she could make some sometimes scary, but also fun, brave decisions.
My pants type of decisions.
Yeah. And there we go. And I mean, in hindsight, was it crazy or was it brave? Because there was so many things going on. I had a tiny baby. COVID was a massive reality. I can't even remember what lockdown phase we were in, but it was serious. And coupled in with that, I was also planning on moving provinces, a few months after we started the business. So in hindsight, it sounds like we are lunatics, but we've somehow made it work.
And then from like an initial investment, I think Amy and I were quite fearful when we started the business because it just felt like such a mammoth undertaking. We didn't quite know where to start. We had this little, fire in us, and we were like, hey, we're going to design furniture. We're going to manufacture furniture. But let's do this in a way that isn't us overcommitting ourselves. And then without really knowing much about running your business, you find yourself in a financial hole that you can't get out of. So both of us put in a small amount of money. Ames, I can't remember exactly how much it was. Was it like 20 or 40,000 rand each, which isn't that much money when you think about converting that into dollars, which is, what's the exchange rate? About 18 rand to the dollar. And I was lucky enough that I'm not married. I don't have children, so I didn't have that financial strain. And it was just a number that we both felt comfortable with. And we were like, based on this, these are the amount of products that we're going to design and start doing some development on with the various suppliers. And then luckily, because we also had that initial interior design project, then we had like a little bit of like real money. And at Amy's insistence, and I'm so happy that we did it, she suggested that we bring on a branding and marketing consultant just to make sure that our entrance into the market was really putting forward what we wanted to be, what our ethos was, who we are as designers, who we are as individuals, and what we're bringing to the market. So that was a little bit more of an investment. That was probably about 120,000 Rand all in for the initial design pack and website design. But I think that, yeah, those two elements together, it wasn't a huge amount of money, and it was, yeah, that's pretty much it.
In terms of manufacturing or creating these items, can you share a little bit about what is the process of that? I mean, I believe you mentioned something about bringing items from China. Is there something that is there any business that you do with China, or is this all like locally sourced and made?
All of our products are locally sourced and made. I mentioned China earlier just to say that it's extremely hard to compete with the people that are importing from China just from a price point. And that's not really the space that we want to be in. Our product is on a completely different level from a quality point of view. So most of our product is made from solid oak. And it's, it took us a while and many years in the industry to figure out who are the right suppliers, both from, reliability, sourcing of materials, lead times, pricing. It takes a lot of trial and error. But we've eventually landed on some really fantastic suppliers that we've got, and that's like one of our linchpins in creating a successful business. So, and it's interesting in creating our prototypes right at the beginning when Kristen and I designed our first pieces. We never really saw it as like I don't know how to phrase this, Chris, it wasn't necessarily the product that we wanted to launch with, but it kind of organically became that month after month, and unfortunately, sometimes the process in designing, prototyping, then making the final product, then photographing it, marketing it, putting it on your website, it's such a long, tedious thing, and it's also very expensive. So ideally, Chris and I would love to have a huge product range and many collections, but, unfortunately, we can't at this stage in our business.
And it took so much, it just took so much longer than we had initially anticipated. We thought, okay, a couple months, but it's like a year and a half later, and that's when we launched. And we were like, we'd rather just take the time for our launch to be the best that it can be given our resources, and something that we could be really proud of. So it's been a process.
Yeah.
Do you ever think of, of course you have your own kind of brand of furniture. Do you think that it may accelerate growth if you kind of, bring your interior designing eye and, kind of create a collection from other brands as well, and kind of become the retailer, in addition to, creating your own furniture, so that it gives you a little bit more I guess ability to target a broader market, and then once you have more customers, more people on your side, then slowly start expanding your own collection and things like that. Or do you really just want to stay true to your own brand?
So, keeping with the our like brand ethos and trying to collaborate and partner with other designers, preferably local manufacturers, for everything from maybe some objet and accessories for the home, some decor items. That's definitely something that Amy and I have been toying with for a long time. And it comes down to like how many hours in the day. We tried to design our own accessories line, and we've been working on it for quite some time. We haven't been able to put enough time into it, but like one of Amy's great ideas was we should let's rely on our collaborative skills. There are so many amazing designers and wildly creative people who maybe don't have the resources that we do in order to market, or into the market. So we definitely see the value in creating these collaborations. It's just a matter of building those relationships, making sure that it's the right fit, in terms of company synergy, business synergy. We all have to be on the same page, and because ultimately whatever we're supplying through our business needs to be a reliable, good quality product, and we're going to be the ones that are answerable to the clients. So it's a process, but it's definitely on the cards, and we're quite excited about a few collaborations that hopefully in the future we'll be able to announce.
Awesome. Can you share a little bit, because I think you're the first entrepreneurs from South Africa that I've interviewed. Can you share a little bit about what e-commerce looks like in South Africa? Is it really big? Is it kind of normal there? And are there big marketplaces? I'm assuming Amazon is there. What are the big marketplaces in South Africa? And are you using any marketplaces to list your items also?
Okay, Chris, you want to grab this one or me?
I'll hop in. So I just have because I grew up in the States and Canada, so I've got quite a good idea of what the likes of Amazon, the power of Amazon, and you order something and it's on your doorstep the same evening. We definitely have a growing e-commerce business in South Africa, especially since COVID. It's really made a lot of people pivot and start to understand that whole interaction with the brand, and safely getting your whatever it is that you're purchasing, and if you don't like it, you can return it easily, whereas before there was barriers to entry in that sense. We don't have anything that is as large as Amazon. We've got some others also large, relatively large brands, Take a Lot is essentially the equivalent to Amazon in our country. But it's very sort of that immediacy that you have in the US isn't really here, unless it's something that's, for instance, I'm sitting in Johannesburg right now, Amy's in Cape Town. If I order something from Cape Town, I'll only usually get it in a week. It is what it is, and everybody has come to expect that. So it's actually been quite good for our business, because people understand that if something's being custom made, this is South Africa, it takes time. We have a 6-week lead time, 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the time of year and what's going on in terms of manufacturing. So we've really been able to successfully leverage that. And, people understand it, especially in the interior side of the business. Is obviously, for instance, if we're doing some building work, there's a couple month process that happens before the final installed product. So it's not as rushed as, it's not like, say I was selling a cell phone or something that's a stock item. And I'm not sure if you want to add anything else, Ames, to that.
Yeah. So there's one is the expectation from the customer. They aren't expecting it to get shipped immediately. It is a long lead custom made item. And that's fine, and we're playing well in that market. Just in terms of leveraging and putting our product into other marketplaces, we have been in touch with a few. It's definitely something that we are working hard on, and getting our products onto their almost like aggregator type websites. The one sort of hurdle that we found, and it's something that Kirsten and I are being, clever and trying to figure out, is because a lot of our products are solid timber, they're very heavy and bulky, and that's a difficult item to ship, and it's very costly to ship. So that's just, a hurdle that we have to overcome, and maybe some, a learning curve for us in terms of designing our next collection. But, just as I'm thinking about it, there are only very few aggregators in terms of furniture and home decor items out there, and maybe there is a gap in the market for that to grow, but it's definitely a space that we want to be in.
Yeah, I think that's a really big challenge in this furniture industry, is especially if you're doing it e-commerce, direct to consumer, is the weight. And I think some of the ways that furniture stores and retailers have tried to, the only way you can manage it a little bit is by having volume. If you have a large volume, then of course you can get some discounts and things like that. But it also poses challenge when, if in case somebody doesn't like the item, they want to return it, that's a huge challenge also. So are you currently, I'm assuming you charge your customers for shipping fees, and have you partnered with any carriers that give you discounted rates on these kind of products?
Yeah, so we've both Amy and I have worked with there's a few various companies that over the years we've worked with and we've come to trust, and they're amazing. And we work to consolidate shipments on trucks. So, sharing loads with other companies, other people like shipping things between the different cities. That has been quite a clever way for us to try and not cut costs, but lower the shipping cost. And it's also just keeping that open line of communication with our client to say, this is the cost of our product. It depends where you're living in South Africa and where we're shipping it to. If you can be patient with us, we've got another shipment going to that area, and it's going to substantially reduce the cost of shipping. So if you can give us an extra week when the other product is going to be ready, then we'll give you a reduced rate. And, our clients are amazing. They appreciate that we're taking the time to explain it to them and to try and show them that, like, we understand that the shipping costs are prohibitively expensive, and we just want to make sure that they're getting the benefit of us thinking this way.
Do you ever get customers, either it's B2C or other businesses or places that want you to do their interior designing and so forth, and they have they want you to create like a custom design for them specifically, and I'm assuming that probably comes with additional costs for them. And do you accommodate those kind of requests, because it's probably additional work for you, because in terms of interior designing and also just the designing of the product itself, it probably takes extra time.
So it's something Kirsten and I are very used to. It's a muscle that we've learned to develop for over many years of being interior designers. But it's actually something we love about interior projects, is doing custom designs for clients. Because we really find that that's when things start to sing and there's a differentiation. Not everything looks the same. As Kirst said, the market, especially in comparison to the States, is really small. So you get to know the different furniture brands. You can spot it from a mile away. And what we really are trying to avoid is any of our projects looking like anyone else's. So that point of differentiation comes in with the custom products. But that's speaking to our interior projects specifically. The product range that we as House of Kook have is pretty sort of straightforward. People sometimes ask us to maybe customize a size or a color or something like that. But in terms of, completely changing the look or the aesthetic of it, it's not really something. First, I don't know. I don't think that's really something that we would entertain.
It depends on the scope of what it is that they're looking for. It's a project by project basis. We don't like to just apply a blanket statement and say, no, we don't do that. We want to see where we can help somebody and be effective without, scaring them with what the price is going to be. But we like a challenge as well. I think that it's, it cuts the monotony sometimes of the everyday of running a business. It's exciting to get a new challenge. So we try and help and accommodate where we can, but you know, there are some firm boundaries where you just have to say, unfortunately, can't help you on this one.
Yeah.
Are you doing any kind of marketing right now? Any kind of specifically online marketing? And have you seen any success with that?
So we spend many hours of the day, unfortunately, too many hours of the day on social media. It's just unfortunately something one has to do, especially when you are small and you're really trying to grow quite quickly. But something that is not big in our country, but we foresee it getting much bigger, is Pinterest and YouTube. So I know in the States, you know, it's used as a search platform, unlike it is here. And I know people buy a lot from places like Pinterest, and it's almost used as like a search engine. Not as big in South Africa, so there's huge growth and an opportunity there. So it's something that Kirsten and I are focusing a lot on. We just find places like Instagram and Facebook are just oversaturated. It's noisy. It's hard to stand out. It's a constantly changing algorithm, and it's difficult to keep up. So we do what we can, but
you work with consultants that
we work,
from time to time to just give us advice and help us with our strategy, which has been imperative. I mean, at the beginning, we had no idea what we were doing in terms of social media and marketing. So it's really been a really important part of our journey. And we wouldn't be where we are now without those companies helping us.
And just
Did
on
you
that
say
note,
that? Go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just on that, I wanted to add, I know that there's a lot of people that say when you're just starting out, don't spend money on a flashy website. It's unnecessary, just like the lean startup model, just, you know, get out there and start small. But I have to say, money well spent for us. We spend a lot of money comparatively on our website and our branding, our messaging, and that sort of thing. And really, to this day, I'm so grateful we did it, because a lot of opportunities that have been presented to us, or clients that have come to us, or magazines, blogs, prints that have approached us, have only done that because they've said, wow, guys, I've just seen your website, or I love your brand, I love what you stand for. And it, you know, I'm so glad that we spent that money up front.
Yeah, I think especially when you're targeting more of a high-end market, I think in that scenario, I think branding becomes more important. Did you mention that YouTube is not big in South Africa? And what about TikTok?
Yeah, TikTok is massive here.
Okay.
So our branding team said to us the other day, are you sure you don't want to get involved with TikTok? And Kirsten, I'm like, no.
We're like, one thing at a time. It's like wiles.
No, TikTok is very big in our country. I would place it in the same bracket as Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You look, people use YouTube here. I mean, we obviously know it and use it frequently, but it isn't as powerful and as large a search engine type of platform as it would be in the States.
You did briefly mention that you were able to get exposure in media. Can you share a little bit about that? Was that completely organic, people reaching out to you, or did you have to do anything to get your brand out there?
No, we definitely had to do something to get our brand out there. Again, our marketing team has worked so hard for us. We're so eternally grateful for them. But sometimes it comes down to just thinking out the box. Like, just as an example, someone in our marketing team was, you know, scrolling through various websites and blogs, all relating to design and interiors, and she saw a blog post that she thought, hang on, House of Kook would actually fit perfectly in with this blog post. And she just took the bull by the horns and emailed the editor and said, here's House of Kook, here's the blog, I feel like there's synergy here. And within 24 hours they had approached us and said, we want to feature you guys. So it really was being quite overt and direct, but it seems to work.
Awesome. I know you mentioned in terms of your team, of course, you guys are the co-founders, you're the main people, and you have a marketing, I guess, an agency that you're working with. And then you have, I guess, the manufacturing aspect that you're working with a partner on that side. Is there anyone else that is helping you out or part of your team right now, or that's kind of your business team?
Other than our accountant, no, it's just us.
Lean and mean.
Awesome. What I know you mentioned a little bit about your future vision. Is there anything else that you would like to, I mean, I ask founders, you know, what do they want their business to look like maybe 5 years down the road? Have you guys ever sat down together and thought about this process and, you know, come to like a common vision of what you would like your business to be in 5 years, let's say?
Daily we have this conversation, and I feel like it's very frequent that it pivots as we're, you know, taking our time and feeling things out. We get different ideas. We see something that we thought was going to work, doesn't work. And the beauty of it being such a small team is we can pivot so quickly. So yeah, I think both of us want to grow the business in a way that we don't have to, I mean, I don't know how realistic this is, but we want to attract a certain type of client that is very aligned with who we are as a brand, whether it be we're selling them furniture or we're doing an interior space for them. We want the market to understand House of Kook. And it's not that we have like a specific look and feel of what we're trying to bring to the market, for, especially for the interiors. The furniture different, you know, obviously it's, you know, a set of products that it looks the way that it looks. But from an interiors standpoint, we want the market to understand and trust what it is that we want to provide to them. So we don't have to market ourselves so hard, and they come to us and they say, we trust you to take our brief and make it, you know, a reality, make our vision a reality, in a way that's authentic to both the clients as well as House of Kook.
I mean,
go
ahead.
Sorry, just to add on to that quickly, I think just in terms of, you know, and our team and our vision for the company, you know, we've always loved how small and agile we are. And if we were to grow, we would still keep it quite small and dynamic, so that, you know, we never want to fall into the trap of working for like a company that feels too corporate or too rigid or too formatted. You know, we've done that. We've earned our stripes in that world, and that's something that we know we don't want to replicate.
I know you guys are living in separate cities. What is it like working together when you're, you know, as co-founders living in different places? Are you able to collaborate using Zoom? Do you usually, and do you ever have any disagreements, you know, in terms of vision or, you know, the design of the product or anything like that? And and how does that work? Who wins? Who loses?
Definitely, we're two creatives. Of course, we're gonna have disagreements about things. And I was actually thinking, funnily enough, I was thinking about this earlier. I actually think that our synergy as partners has improved since Amy's moved to Cape Town. Because we're in separate cities, we have to divide and conquer with certain tasks. So last year in particular, we had a very like Johannesburg heavily based interior side of the business. So I was, you know, a lot of the time I was on site, and then Amy was taking on the things where she didn't have to be on site, you know, a lot of the marketing, a lot of the proposal work and things like that. And then it sort of flip-flopped this year. And I think because we're in different cities, it's forced us to take on these roles, which has, for me at least, Amy, you can tell me if you disagree, I feel like that has afforded us as designers to rediscover our passion for it. Because, you know, that's because you're dividing the roles, it's not, the projects aren't running so long that you're getting burnt out and you're taking on too much, and it's just this like conveyor belt. There's this like give and take where it's like, okay, this project's wrapping up in Joburg. I think we really need to push our marketing in Cape Town. We need to like flip flop so that we can reverse our roles. I can get a little bit of downtime in terms of the creative turnover, and then Amy steps into that role again. So I think like that has actually been something that has like played to our strengths, and it's like created like the company that we wanted to create and the way of working, and why it's so different from when we were working in a corporate environment. So I'm so grateful for it. It has its challenges, clearly. And we fly back and forward. We try and see each other at least once a month. And luckily it's a 2-hour flight. So we're lucky in that regard.
And I think that's, the distance, actually, I agree with you completely, Kirst. It affords us a lot of autonomy and like focused head down type of work. Whereas, we just divide, conquer, get the job done. We keep in comms with each other constantly. I mean, Kirst, how many times a day do you think on average we phone each other?
I don't even know.
5, 6, 7 times a day.
Lots of voice notes,
WhatsApps, emails, Zoom calls, video calls. I mean, you name it, we do it. Thank goodness we have technology on our side, so it makes it possible for us to do this. And when we do see each other once a month, that's truly like when the magic happens, because we know, okay, we've got 3 days together. We are going to just like hunker down, whatever that saying is. And it's like an intensive workshop time for us. And that's when some really cool things have happened. So, and I don't think that would happen if we saw each other every day.
Yeah.
That's really great. In every entrepreneur's journey, there's always mistakes made, lessons learned, failures. What do you think has been the biggest failure or mistake that you think you kind of have learned from in the process of starting and running your business? And what is the lesson that you learned, and what is the lesson that other entrepreneurs can learn from your mistake?
That's a good question.
That is a very good question. The first thing that pops into my mind, like the biggest lesson that I've learned, is that like you need to expect failure and learn to embrace it, because it's like it's going to happen. I mean, it doesn't matter what the biggest failure was, or whatever the case may be. It's how you pivot, it's how you rebound from it, it's the lessons that you learn from it. I mean, I don't even know, Ames, there's been, in every single aspect of the business, we've made mistakes here and there, and we're lucky because it's a small business and we have a lot of experience in the industry and what it is that we do, that there hasn't been anything that's been like a financially devastating or catastrophic, or led to anything that's we couldn't just bounce back from. But it's more just refocusing ourselves after something has been a bit of a disappointment or didn't go as we expected or had planned, and trying to lean into like, hey, what can we learn from this? This is making us more resilient. Yes, it's difficult, but we've learned something today, and tomorrow we're going to do it better.
And I think so, expect failure, like almost welcome failure, because it's only through those mistakes and problem solving that you're going to learn and get better. And the other one for me, and because we've said this to each other often, is you need just infinite amount of resilience and grit. I mean, there are many days and weeks when you're low and you're doubting yourself and it's really tough, and you've just got to keep going and keep the grind. And that resilience, and like ability to just keep bouncing back has really seen us through some pretty tough times.
And I think also, other than being business partners, Amy and I are best friends. So we have a very close relationship where we can be frank and honest about where we're at mentally. What are you thinking? Are you having a really down day? Feel like it's just, climbing up that mountain and it's never going to stop. And it's being able to, be that support for one another, and to help, find that perspective again. I often luckily it's not like we're having meltdowns at the same time. I feel like we dovetail nicely in that regard, whereas and it's helped us to get through some very fearful moments, and we can always laugh at the end of the day as well. I mean, a little bit of humor here and there really makes the journey that much more fun and bearable on the darkest days.
Yeah, I think that's probably a huge advantage to be able to work with someone that you have trust and friendship and that kind of open, transparent communication and so forth. I think it's probably a huge advantage. Now we're going to move on to our rapid fire segment. In this segment, I'm going to ask you a few quick questions and you have to answer them maybe in one word or a sentence or so. And, you can just, Amy and Kristen, you can just go quickly one by one. So first one book recommendation for entrepreneurs and why?
Lean In by Cheryl Sandberg.
I was going to say the same thing, Ames.
Damn it. Okay, I'll give a second one. The Big Leap by Hendrix.
Okay. An innovative product or idea in the current e-commerce, retail, or tech landscape that you feel excited about?
Generative AI.
Okay.
Amy, I don't even know what that is.
That's the Chat GPT, right?
Okay, yes.
Yeah. A business or productivity tool or software that you would recommend, or a productivity tip?
Oh, I can't live without
ChatGPT again.
Okay.
No. I'm going to say Canva. I think it's just made, especially design, so much easier for us. It's quick, it's easy. That used to be something that's, I'm going on and on, but definitely Canva.
A startup or business in e-commerce, retail, or tech that you think is currently doing great things. So any other business or startup, either in South Africa or anywhere else that you think is doing great things.
There's a company locally that's called Butte Serums. It's a skincare brand that is just doing incredible things. Very inspiring.
Anything from you, Amy?
No, I concur 100%.
A peer entrepreneur or business person whom you look up to, or someone who inspires you?
First, do you want to go first?
I think I have to say that this is a bit cheesy, but I feel like Amy or somebody that I really look up to, and I think that you keep me very grounded through this process, and it's that's kind of inspired me in our tough times to push through, because it's all about who you're working with. So definitely Amy.
Thank you. That's so sweet. Okay, now I feel bad not saying you in return.
I already know deep down you believe it too about me.
I believe it too.
You're rough, I
know.
So do you have anyone?
Leave it at that.
Okay. Final question. Best business advice you ever received or you would give to other entrepreneurs?
Don't let fear be the thing that stands in your way. You'll regret it.
And then I'm trying to think of a clever way to phrase this, but something about how perfectionism ain't a good idea. Better done than perfect. There we go. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great lesson for entrepreneurs for sure. Well, Amy and Kristen, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for joining so late in the evening from South Africa. Great partnership and great story. Thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. So yeah, thanks again for your time and for inspiring entrepreneurs at Trep Talks. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so
Sushant,
much.
thank you so much. What a pleasure and honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.